Thank you, Chair Klobuchar, Ranking Member Lee, and Senator Hirono. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Across the nation, the lowest income renters face a severe shortage of affordable and available homes and a significant gap between incomes and housing costs. There is a national shortage of 7.3 million homes that are affordable and available to the lowest income renters. This shortage is a long-standing structural feature of the country's housing system, consistently impacting every state and nearly every community. For example, in both Chair Klobuchar's state of Minnesota and Ranking Member Lee's state of Utah, there are fewer than 4 affordable homes available for every 10 of the lowest income renter households. Without affordable housing options, more than 10 million of the lowest income renters, who are disproportionately people of color, pay at least half their limited income on rent, leaving them without the resources they need to put food on the table, purchase needed medications, or otherwise make ends meet, putting them one financial shock away from facing eviction and, in worst cases, homelessness. While wages have risen in recent years, these gains have not closed the persistent and significant gap between renters' incomes and the rising cost of rent. During the pandemic, policymakers responded to the growing threat of housing insecurity by providing unprecedented support to keep renters housed. These protections and resources cut evictions in half, lowered eviction filing rates to the lowest on record, and kept millions of people who otherwise would have lost their homes during the pandemic stably housed. But just as these emergency resources were depleted and pandemic-era renter protections expired, renters re-entered a housing market with skyrocketing rents and high costs elsewhere. The GAO has found that every $100 increase in median monthly rent is associated with a 9% increase in homelessness in that same community. Over 2021 and the first half of 2022, rents increased by about $200 a month. And as a result, eviction filing rates have now reached or surpassed pre-pandemic averages in many communities, resulting in increased homelessness. Even with the stabilization of rental prices this year, the rapid inflation we saw during 2021 and 2022 has done significant damage to affordability, especially for the lowest income renters. Median rent of new leases just last month were 24% higher than at the beginning of 2021. Rent increases are driven by several factors, including a growing demand for rental housing and limited supply. Rent increases can also be attributed to a mostly unregulated rental market with few tenant protections that, especially in markets where demand far outstrips supply, permits landlords to raise rents as high as the market will allow without regard to the impact on tenants with the lowest incomes. And in addition to high rent, landlords are increasingly imposing costly fees, further increasing costs for low-income renters. Renters, particularly those with the lowest incomes, have severely limited options in the housing market. The lack of national renter protections leaves tenants vulnerable to unjust treatment, housing instability, and evictions. Landlords can engage in abusive and predatory behavior with few consequences. Renters facing exorbitant rent increases or excessive fees have little to no ability to move to a new home. Instead, they can face retaliation for reporting unsafe housing conditions or illegal actions by landlords. And because so few renters have access to legal representation, many are unable to assert their legal rights. Strengthening and enforcing federal renter protections is a critically needed solution to America's housing crisis, along with eliminating restrictive local zoning laws to increase supply, increasing investments to make homes affordable to people with the lowest incomes through expansions of housing choice vouchers and the National Housing Trust Fund, and preventing evictions and homelessness with a National Housing Stabilization Fund. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify today. I look forward to your questions.